Chad Keefer's head of U.S. Federal for Infoblox Federal. It's great to see you, Chad. Thanks for coming today. Interoperability seems to be one of the most popular points of discussion here. What are the keys that you're seeing to reaching the interoperability goals that the Navy, Marine Corps, the Sea Services have?
Yeah, I think first we have to give some recognition to the industry and our mil depths for the progress that they have made over the last decade, but we still have gaps, right? I mean, we have pockets of excellence, right? You have these vertical platforms that operate independently. They don't often talk to everybody. You have operators operating on a thicket of guidance. You have the DoD setting standards, NIST setting standards, OMB releasing guidance, and all the executive orders, right? Directionally, they're aligned, but they oftentimes can fall flat for the people who have to put them into practice. And I think lastly, some of the things we see in our mission partner environments, like they operate off a different tech baseline, and so that becomes a very different set of problems to deal with.
What are you seeing the organizations that you're working with doing to try to address some of those issues? And what's industry's role in helping to put out some of those fires?
Yeah, that's a great question. We oftentimes see the government look to industry for guidance, and we as an industry look to the government for requirements, right? So there's a fundamental problem there, sometimes in the way that we interact. But some of the things that I've seen is, as an industry, what we can help do is harmonize those things into standards, into practicality. We can also build more horizontal type platforms, like using the data as a control plane, right? Underneath of these vertical silos of like endpoints and firewalls and things that do these things really well, but don't often talk to one another very well. And then lastly, I think repeatability, right? We don't often, all the time, want the government to rip and replace. We want to allow them to have efficiency and to maximize the ROI with the tools that they have.
How has the proliferation of data and the way that data has to move from application to application, from thing to thing, all across the department, changed the way that people like you look at connecting those dots together?
Well, I think the data is the important piece, and oftentimes the siloed environments between the NetOps and the SecOps and now the cloud folks, they don't often look at the same picture, right? So that is a problem. And like I said, when we look at how do you harmonize that data into a horizontal type platform so that everybody can have a baseline and operate, like that's what it is that we focus on. We want there to be facts, right? And we want to operate off of those facts.
A lot of leaders that I've talked to here and in the last, I'd say 6 months to a year inside the department have talked about a willingness to, we want to buy off the shelf or we want to use commercial solutions, executive orders to that effect, orders from the top of the department to do that. Are you starting to see that trickle down where people are coming to you and saying, what do you have that I can use now? Or what is happening in sectors outside of the federal government, financial services sector and so on, that we can learn from or that we can use those same types of solutions?
I think the spirit is there. You always have organizations in different departments that, like, we're different, right? So we want to use off the shelf, but we oftentimes have to customize it, or we have to, some sort of flavorize it to their environment. I think what we try to do is we try to make it a little more open, right, as a platform and API so that we can operate that way. But again, as industry, we're going to offer the best practices that we see that'll deliver you the results that you want to get.
Yeah. Is there a role for industry to kind of help the organizations that have the same mindset that you just described? Yeah, you are special and unique, but this will still work for you and you don't have to do a lot of customization and you can get to implementation faster?
Yeah, I think if you're talking to a fast mover in the organization where they want to get stuff done and they've seen the red tape that they have to go through, like, of course, yes, we can. But it's still pretty difficult to get through. Well, it's the red tape or it's the requirements and we have to check this box first. And then again, like you have agencies, well, I don't want to share my data, right? I don't want, phone home and I don't want to report to Big Brother. So there's still some challenges.
What are you going to track over the next 6 months to a year as these modernization efforts continue across the department?
Clearly zero trust. And then I think from a platform perspective, like I said, you have these vertical silos, great tools, great technology. They don't oftentimes talk to one another effectively. And so what we want to build is something that operates off a common picture that really helps the agency drive the mission forward.